Upstairs at Froelich, show 403, reel 1.
You have the final appearance of Robert Forster playing the part of, the cleaner, the disappearer. I like to call him the disappearer because Vince Gilligan wrote an episode of The X-Files, very kind of stylistically similar to Breaking Bad in many ways. It was from season 9. It's one of the last episodes they made before the show was canceled the first time. And it's called John Doe. And it takes place in Mexico, actually, as a matter of fact. Robert Patrick's character, who had replaced David Duchovny in the 8th season of the show, Special Agent Doggett, John Doggett.
Yeah, John Doggett.
He wakes up in Mexico, and he does not know who he is. But this has a supernatural angle to it, but it is seriously one of the best episodes ever of X-Files, even in the final years of the show. And there is this group, there's this Mexican drug cartel that has this man who is basically has powers, and he can take away your memories. And so it takes him a while to get back his memories because he doesn't know who the hell he is, and meanwhile the other agents are trying to track him down. And there's a couple of actors, I think, from that episode who show up in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul every once in a while. But this guy is it's like if you took Breaking Bad and just sort of put an X-Files spin on it, that's kind of what the show, stylistically looks like. But
I'm trying to remember.
We get the great Robert Forster, and this is it's in the chronology, it's not his final appearance, obviously, but it is his final appearance as an actor.
As an actor, yes.
Yeah.
But you're right, not his final appearance in the chronology, but his final appearance as an actor.
He would pretty much, I guess, show up. He would show up in El Camino.
Yep. And
he would also have a little bit of a voice part there. I don't know how they managed to pull that off, because this was after he died. Gene, quote-unquote Gene, calls him up and says, I need help again. I need another part for a Hoover vacuum cleaner. He's like, never mind, I changed my mind, and hangs up, I guess. He decides instead to run. That's in season 6, right?
Well, see, in season 5, you just see that the cab driver, right at the beginning, that the cab driver
recognized
Jeff, the cab driver, recognized him.
Right.
And he thinks he's going to disappear at first, but then he's like, you know what? I'll handle it myself. And then we don't even see what happens until season 6, so we got to wait for that part.
Right. It's like, we should mention that Better Call Saul, the seasons of the show always begin with little bits of the present time, I guess, for him, which is actually 2010, right? It's 10 years ago.
Right.
But that's his present. His present is 2010, and these are the last days of the free man who is Saul Goodman, and then Gene Takovic and all that.
It is the last days, but we can't talk about that right now. We have to finish up season 5 because, like I said, a lot of interesting shit happens in season 5.
This is when it is weird. They do call Robert Forster's character the Disappearer. That is so strange because
Ed the Disappearer.
That's what they called the guy in the X-Files episode. They called him. Oh, and they also referred to Doggett as one of the disappeared ones. So it's like you take people's memory and turn them into drug mules for a cartel. It's really fucking evil when you think about it. It's almost as evil as the fucking Salamancas.
Yeah, because this is where Lalo, you get to see how ruthless that fucking crazy bastard really is. All the shit that he's capable of.
Right.
This is the whole Werner Ziegler season. What I like about it, I love season 5 because you get to see the meth lab construction, more of the Breaking Bad connection starts to fucking show up.
It's amazing that, to me, it's amazing how the whole thing with meth and how much money is made and how you have to cover your tracks. And we get into a little bit of that with Breaking Bad, with not only with Saul, but with Skyler. Skyler seems to be really good at covering up the tracks of money. And, even when she's working with that guy, Ted,
Mm.
And she even, oh God, but we'll get into Breaking Bad. Jesus Christ, Skyler gets on my nerves. Anyway, getting into the building of this meth lab. And is there any explanation for why Gus, or not, I'm sorry, not Gus. Yeah, Gus, actually, I'm sorry. Is there an explanation for why he decides to switch over to meth?
You know what? I think he just sees he wants to forge his own path because he's getting tired of. Well, number one, again, we've already mentioned this. This show is all about cocaine. Like at the first 4 seasons, it's all about cocaine,
Pretty
and
much.
it's all about how he's running coke or running heroin, whatever it is for the Salamanca family, or he's running it.
Well, you have
But
to
then-
assume that it's like 2002 to 2004, the chronology of
The actual chronology, including that last scene in season 6, which we'll talk about, is from 2002 to 2005. So everything that you see in color takes place over a 3-year period. Mostly though, realistically, it takes place over a 2-year period. Realistically.
Yeah, but
Realistically.
maybe it makes a little more sense too, given that Breaking Bad takes place over the course of a year.
Technically 2. Yes, a year, but
If you want to talk
2.
about the time he was disappeared for a little while and his hair grew back, maybe.
Correct, and then this is where we do
But the central action from the minute Walt discovers he has cancer to the minute he disappears with Saul by Bob Forster is a year, right?
Is a year.
That's fucking ridiculous. You're talking about $80 million in sales. Can't even do anything with the money. Have to hide the money. Have to launder it. Have to figure out how to get away with having it, and then make up all sorts of ridiculous stories. But cocaine. Oh, maybe I don't know. There's no like I said. There just doesn't seem to be like an explanation for why Gus decides to dip into meth, unless it's to put a corner on a market that they don't have, that the Salamancas don't have.
Exactly. He wants to corner on a market that's not there, because you see the flashback to when he meets Don Eladio. And when Hector Salamanca is there, Gus comes up with the idea, him and Max come up with the idea of selling methamphetamine versus cocaine. There's a bigger market for it. Don Eladio doesn't like it. And then, of course, Hector shoots Max dead.
Yeah.
And then, but Gus makes it his whole entire mission to just be this #1 meth manufacturer in Albuquerque. And then other people come up doing it, like you see in Breaking Bad at the time, Jesse's doing it. There is a meth problem in Albuquerque by the time Breaking Bad starts.
Yeah.
Remember, Better Call Saul officially ends in 2005, but then you've had this
maybe 3 years. It's about 3 years later.
3 years to where methamphetamine starts getting into Albuquerque.
Right.
And this is where Gus decides, you know what? I was right. This is going to be the next big thing. Now I have my super lab. Now I can be the #1 meth distributor in Albuquerque, possibly the world. And then it's like how big it reaches, like the Madrigal, the whole Madrigal Corporation. Like the whole corporation of Madrigal is basically a gigantic fucking front for drug distribution.
Yeah, and it's like, we get that in I think, is that in the final season? That's in the final season of Breaking Bad, where we see Norbert Weisser. But Norbert Weisser kills himself by that point.
Right, but then we get to see Norbert
this whole thing,
Weisser.
Okay, you know what it is? I know what it is. Do you know how there was this corporation? I think they're probably still in existence, but they bought up all these franchises of things. They bought Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, KFC. And so you see, and in some places Roy Rogers and maybe Arby's, but they bought all these franchises and they put them under one roof. There's I forget where, 34th Street, near Herald Square in Manhattan. There is like this restaurant that is like an all-encompassing fast food franchise of restaurants, including Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and KFC. And it was bought by this corporation. And I'm thinking, that's what Madrigal is. Madrigal,
yeah, Pepsi.
Yes, Madrigal buys chains, buys chains of restaurants, right? But uses them to launder their meth making and selling operation. That's like fucking insane. I mean, like, it's weird because I think that the food industry would make way more money than meth, right? Why would you even involve yourself in something as dangerous and illegal as meth when you have a perfectly viable fast food? I mean, they have this thing, Jesus, in that Breaking Bad episode. He's Gus, I think, is taste testing or marketing some kind of a new flavor or something, right?
Yeah, those curly fries.
Right, and then there's this dipping sauce or something. And it's like, we are pretending to be a fast food franchise, and we have all these companies, and we're pretending, but the whole thing is really just an enormous cover for meth all over the world. I mean, that's madness.
You see, but then they don't. You see, I wish they would show a thing to show how Madrigal was, like, how heavily involved Madrigal was, because then it could have just been some people, it could have been the whole corporation. I mean, the only thing you do know at the end of Breaking Bad, but this does tie into Better Call Saul a little bit, is that when you see that last season, that, or I think, no, this is actually showed up. I can't remember which show it was, but you find out that Los Pollos Hermanos is gone. It becomes like this totally different other restaurant or something like that. Because after Gus dies at the end of this, because again, no, it's not even a spoiler. It's we're 10 plus years removed at this point.
Yeah.
You know, everyone knows Gus dies in season 4 of Breaking Bad.
The most incredible fucking scene ever.
Greatest fucking death ever.
That is just amazing.
But anyway, you get to see the aftermath of what happened to Los Pollos Hermanos. Like, somebody bought up all the fucking restaurants.
Well,
they don't tell you if that's
they didn't change the design. They changed the name. It's kind of like what they did with Aunt Jemima, you know?
Yeah, Pearl Milling Company.
Pearl Milling Company, but it's the same kind of design, but without the lady on the cover.
Right. They don't tell you if that's Madrigal, though. Like, that's the one thing they don't tell you, is if Madrigal still owns that restaurant.
I think they do. You know what? I think Madrigal is one of those companies, like Enron, too big to fail. So whatever it is, they've got their hands in so many different pies that they are making money, just no matter what. They're money makers. That's all. It's European, too. They're out in the middle of wherever else. Where are they? They're like in, what, Germany or some shit?
Germany. Well, basically, it's inferred that it's Germany. A German holding
Nazis.
company.
I bet you it's the European Union, because Norbert Weiser plays Nazis in movies. His most famous big role, I mean, he was in like canon movies, stuff that was directed by Albert Pyun and stuff like that, right? But he had roles in Raiders and in Schindler's List as Nazis. Two different Nazis in two different movies about Nazis for Spielberg. Spielberg takes one look at this guy and says, that guy's a Nazi. I'm casting him as a Nazi.
All I gotta say is that living in Chicago, fucking Illinois Nazis, man.
I hate Illinois Nazis.
I know, fucking Illinois Nazis, I swear. But yeah, like that's just sticking your fingers so far down the throat of it all. It's like, there's so much more discussion we can have, but we just got to talk about the show.
But it's amazing, isn't it?
It's just, you could have all these intellectual conversations.
But you realize why people like Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould, they change all the names and they make things different. Things that may look similar but are completely different, because if you tried to insinuate that fast food was just a corporate cover for meth dealership, you'd get sued all the way back to the Stone Age.
Yeah. But you get to see all the expansion of everything in season 5. It's like the wheels start turning. You get to see, Saul expand his client base. He's still, unfortunately, in the fucking nail salon.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. We should also mention the origin of Hector Salamanca's stroke was Nacho. It turned out to be Nacho. Nacho, like you had mentioned, you had set up before about Nacho, that he had originally worked for Tuco. And they were just sort of like, it was like, it was an informal thing. It was an informal association. I think Nacho was basically Tuco's mouthpiece, because he's a lot better with words, he's a lot more restrained, and he has more control. And then when Tuco goes to jail in the whole setup, Nacho thinks he's free and clear. But no, he's got to continue working for the Salamancas. So he decides he's going to do something to the old man. And he replaces his heart medication or something, right, for like ibuprofen or something. But he didn't see where it was going, and Lydia is like, why are you doing this? This is ridiculous, I mean, like, he stole somebody's ID. He walks in, pretends to be somebody. He says, you're not doing this right. This should be here. This should be there. The temperature of the room should be this, And these people are scared shitless. I don't even think, the thing about it is, the whole thing with them, I don't think that, 99.9% of their employees know what they actually do.
No.
I think that board, those people at that very big table, that conference table, those are the only people that know. Oh, and Lydia.
And Lydia, of course.
Lydia is part. Lydia is such an interesting character. I was working on my screenplay. I was working on a screenplay, and I had to create an officious, attractive woman who wears business suits and is busy working for basically criminal people. I named the character Lydia after her because I was just thinking she's so good. The actress is really. I mean, everybody on these shows are just
amazing.
Yeah, just incredible. Jonathan Banks not least standing. Most recently, I watched an episode of Deep Space Nine from the first season called Battle Lines, and who's in it but Jonathan Banks. And he's playing an incredible part. Again, kind of world-weary, disillusioned, violent kind of guy. He's just a great guy. And he can also be insanely intensely funny. He was fantastic in Gremlins. I mean, remember Gremlins?
Yeah, oh, dude, I was going to say Beverly Hills Cop. You forgot
Beverly
about
Hills
that.
Cop. He's a bad guy in Beverly Hills Cop. I was like, holy shit, that's Jonathan Banks with hair, right? And he was also in Gremlins, also with Judge Reinhold. Weird connection there, right?
Yep, connection.
He's like, Jesus Christ, Frank, that's Dave Morris. He does Santa every year. It's like... And he's got
them stuffies all over him.
So Frank, I'd really like you to start the car now, please. Frank, I'd like to go. Frank. It's like hilarious watching Jonathan Banks do anything funny. Also in Free Jack too. He's awesome in that movie.
I haven't seen Free Jack in so fucking long. I need to pull that movie out again.
Winds up getting killed by Mick Jagger. Can you imagine being murdered by Mick Jagger?
I know, that's terrible. Getting killed by an aging rock star. What a way to go. I'd rather get killed by Bowie, though, if that were me. Man.
Yeah, maybe.
Sorry. Yeah. but unlike, okay, no disrespect towards Mick Jagger, not to get too far off. Mick Jagger, for all intents and purposes, for the little amount of acting he did, he's halfway decent as an actor.
Yeah, he's not bad.
But
for a rock star, yeah, he's not bad.
For a rock star, I'll take Bowie over him.
Bowie is definitely, well, he's had more experience, and, you know. Mick Jagger kind of plays Mick Jagger, you know?
Yeah, Mick Jagger plays Mick Jagger. Bowie always had like a theatrical side to his music.
Yeah,
and
like
everything,
Bowie.
So,
look at Bowie in Into the Night when he shoves a gun in Jeff Goldblum's mouth.
Yeah.
And Jeff Goldblum is like twice his size too, which is hilarious.
But yeah, like I said, back to season 5. It's just like I said, the wheels start turning. We get to see more and more shit.
Lalo. Were we introduced to Lalo at the end of the fourth
tail
season?
end of season 4, and then Nacho.
Another fucking, this is just another impediment to Nacho just not being able to get out. And then they fucking threaten Nacho's dad, which really pissed me off. That really pissed me off.
Well, that's when Nacho has to do what he does to frickin' Hector to get him off his back. But then again, he doesn't even. It's like, oh yeah, it's over. It's like, no, we got to bring somebody else in who's even more fucking ruthless than Hector Salamanca.
And this is around the time where Lalo just kills that guy in cold blood at the
money wiring service.
It's not Western Union, because you can't have any real names on the show.
Yeah, you can't. So that's like Lalo. You know how smart he is. It's like, even though Hector, can only communicate through a Ouija board, and everything, or the bell.
Yeah.
Hector fucking tells him, it's like, look, do not trust this guy. He's fucking crazy, or do not trust him. He's sneaky. He's up to something. I can't prove it, but he's up to this shit. Go find out what he's doing. And then not only does he do that, he does it at all costs. He fucking kills in cold blood at this whole thing. Yeah. But then Mike, smart fucking Mike, figures out a way to get his ass in jail.
Right. That had to do with the $7 million. Then they had to get Saul. But
but
how
Mike
did they? Oh, wait a minute. I need to go back and figure out how the fuck they tie Lalo to the murder, and then.
Well, they had security footage.
Okay, they had security footage.
But
the security footage is only on the other side of the register.
They had witnesses, like the vehicle and everything like that. There were just witnesses. There was a bunch of reasons why they were able to time in. But you see, now here's my big thing. Okay, now I don't know if this was meticulous planning on Lalo's part, but remember the name that he gave, or the name that was on the books, Jorge de Guzman.
Jorge de Guzman, yeah, and and the
now see what gets
and the made-up family too. Remember the family that they assemble.
That was all Saul. For that. But that makes me wonder, and I wish they would have said something. Did he come into the U.S. with a false set of fucking papers?
Probably. I mean, okay, that's the thing about the show, in general. Is that, these people may be psycho, but they're also incredibly smart. And the thing about, Hector is like so deceptively smart too. He's a guy with a bell now, but he can still communicate things. And he was communicating even in the Breaking Bad episode. Remember when Tuco took Walter and Jesse out into the desert and made fajitas for them, and they were about to poison him? For some reason, he knew they were about to poison him.
Well, because they thought he was asleep with his eyes open. Turns out he was watching them the whole time, and he saw him put the rice into the freaking
rice and beans.
Rice and beans. I said rice in, not rice in her coffee, you idiot. No.
One of my favorite bits was when they all thought they were gonna die in the desert and the Winnebago wouldn't start, and Jesse's like, "You're a genius. You're a scientist, yo. You figured out how to make poison from beans."
Shot in the Army needed to get that RV started again, though.
Mm-hmm.
Give him that. But yeah, it's like, it just shows how even smart, how crazy that fucking Lalo is, how smart he is. Like, he knows eventually, like, if he gets arrested, he at least has a false ID, false this, and he can freaking, as long as he gets bail, he can jump the fucking country and get back to Mexico.
Yeah.
See, that's smart, and that's exactly
that kind of
what
leads
fucking
into
happens.
what is probably one of the best episodes of the entire series, which is when he commands Saul to get $7 million from the twins, and then, you know, he gets intercepted and shot at. Mike is secretly there watching him, saves his life, but then they both don't have an automobile to go back, so they have to travel through the fucking desert with $7 million in cash. And that is like one of the best episodes ever. It's just like...
It is. It's just like, it's just two people in the fucking desert.
And what's really great, at the final episode of the show, they actually call back to that moment.
Yes.
The whole time machine thing.
I was so happy when I got to see that again.
But it's okay. It's these one-on-one episodes, like Fly. Like Fly is like one of my favorites from the later years of Breaking Bad, because it's just Jesse and Walter.
Directed by one of your least favorite guys out there.
Yeah, well, the guy, I mean, like, you know, he's a fine director. He directed 2 episodes of Breaking Bad, two of the best, really, Fly and Ozymandias, right?
Yep.
And you know, he's a very talented director, but keep him the fuck away from Star Wars.
Yeah, get the fuck away from Star Wars, man. You don't need
Rian Johnson. I mean, the guy is talented. I mean, even Knives Out. Knives Out is better than fucking Last Jedi. I enjoyed Knives Out.
Well, hell, Looper's great. Brick is great.
Never saw Looper. Never saw Brick. Is that one of those ones has Bruce Willis in it, right?
Yeah, that was that was probably the last really, really good Bruce Willis movie. Was Looper.
All right, I'll check it out. It's on.
One could argue for Glass. Okay, I enjoyed the hell out of Glass.
Glass, I really enjoyed.
Yeah, Glass, I loved.
In fact, I'd like to see a sequel. I want to see a sequel with Spencer Breslin and what's her name? Creepy Eyes. I forget her name. What the fuck is her name?
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Anya Taylor-Joy. She's a great actress, but she has creepy eyes. That's why.
Yeah.
I always call her that, creepy girl, basically.
And she got the bug eyes.
Sorry about the bug eyes thing. I'll be in my office. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about what's his name here, Tony Dalton. I want to talk about him. This guy, I think he should quit acting. Now, after playing Lalo Salamanca, he should quit acting because he will never be seen as anything other than Lalo Salamanca.
But you could,
he should get an Emmy nomination. I mean, he really should.
Unfortunately, the way they set up the seasons and everything like that. So I don't know if you're aware of this. I'll brush on it for just a little bit. You know why there's a twofold reason why the season was split. One was COVID. Okay, why they had to split the season. The other was for the Emmys, because they wanted to get season 6A out there in time for the 2022 Emmys, but by splitting it, the last 6 episodes can be eligible for the 2023 Emmys.
Right.
Okay, but here's the issue. Tony Dalton was not nominated this year, even though he had more screen time, in the first 7 episodes than the last 6.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying he can't get an Emmy nomination for that? It's a possibility. There is a very big possibility he could get an Emmy nomination for episode 8, but he won't be eligible for that until next year. So unfortunately, this year we only got the.
It's weird.
We got 2 acting nominations. We got a writing, and we got best series. That's all that Breaking Bad got this year.
So you got the nominations. Oh, the nominations came out then?
Yeah, Ray Seahorn got nominated. Bob Odenkirk, of course, nominated for Best Actor. The show got nominated for Best Series and Best Writing. So it got 4. Banks didn't get nominated.
And Giancarlo didn't get one.
Giancarlo didn't get nominated.
Damn.
But what
fuck is the diss on this? I mean, like,
hold on. Okay. The HCAs. I told you about the HCA awards that came out. The Hollywood Critics Association awards came out. Okay. Now here's the kicker. In supporting acting, there was a 3-way split on that. They had Giancarlo, Jonathan Banks, and there was one other actor. There was a 3-way split in that category.
Was it the dude who plays Hamlin, Howard?
I think it was him. There was a 3-way split in that category, and Giancarlo ended up winning.
That is Patrick Fabian.
Yeah. But then it also won.
There's also Michael Mando as Nacho is really good too, especially especially in the final season.
Yeah, he didn't get. And I am so. That right there was the kick to the balls on the nomination, because I really wanted him to get nominated.
The thing about it is all the stuff that they hype up for the Emmys and all the award shows. It's really the Emmys a lot of people pay attention to. Critics Association is basically It's prestigious. It's respect among your peers, that kind of thing, right? But the Emmys are what people really pay attention to, and it's all these shows I don't even watch. But the thing is, the last few weeks, this is going to be the final episode, the final episodes of Better Call Saul. Everyone was talking about that. They were not talking about any of those other shows.
Yeah, nobody was. And because no other show is worthy of what we call the hype train. No show is worthy of the hype train.
And I think a lot of it probably stems back from 2008, because 2008 is when Breaking Bad started. The character of Saul was created 2010. It is a much different landscape as far as creativity, Hollywood, and television go.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they were able to do things, and they didn't have to. See, one of the bigger problems that's happening now is this whole emergence of wokeness, where you're writing completely unrealistic characters just to serve a purpose, as far as identity and sexual and racial politics go. So you weaken it. You weaken it by doing that. Rather than actually telling stories, they're too worried about hurting feelings. So you can't really do that anymore. I don't think you could permit this anymore. There's a lot of stuff here that involves, drug cartels and Mexican people and all that stuff. And also you have a lot of... That's why I was telling you about Kim Wexler's character. Is very interesting because she's a pushover.
Initially she's a pushover.
She's not She-Hulk. They want She-Hulk now, which is completely unrealistic. People are hating on that show.
I've seen the first 2 episodes. I don't hate it, and the only main reason is I love the Hulk.
I don't like what they've done to the Hulk. The Hulk used to be scary. He stopped being scary, and I started thinking about this. I was thinking about both the Eric Bana. I was thinking about Bill Bixby. I was thinking about Ed Norton. I think Ruffalo kind of took a lot of the edge off the Hulk. And now he's talking as a Hulk. I always thought there was something wrong with that in those last 2 Avengers movies too. It didn't ring true for me. The Hulk used to be terrifying. Used to be scary. Used to be something you avoided.
Well, not everybody likes smart Hulk. I mean, and I get it. And I never try to change people's opinions.
I grew up watching the Bill Bixby TV
show.
You
see, that's the difference. I didn't. You know what I mean?
He was cursed. It was a curse. It was like
a curse. And
turning
then
into a werewolf.
The Disney movies, I can see the Disney movies. They try to make it more like a gift. It's like, now it's something that you can live with. You don't have to be this green rage monster.
Well, it's interesting. Why did they move away from that? It's all you had the Eric Bana one, which wasn't canon or wasn't even part of the MCU.
It's not canon.
And then you had
technically. What's funny is, hold on. This is what gets funny. Remember multiverse shit now?
Yeah.
So yeah. Hulk could be canon, just like Daredevil could be canon.
It could be. God, I got to tell you,
could be canon.
This may disappoint you a little bit, but I'm getting tired of the multiverse thing. I think it's lazy storytelling when they keep having to resort to the multiverse.
Let me tell you something. We're getting too far off. Another discussion.
I know.
I'm just going to leave it at this. Okay. I agree with you.
How would you like a multiverse Walter White who's not a meth dealer?
Right. I agree with you. This multiverse shit is getting a little out of fucking hand. It's like, I was fine with
I thought it was cute.
Saga.
Spider-Verse was cute. I thought it was cute. I thought it was a great... I thought No Way Home was the best movie of this bullshit Phase 4 that they've had.
No Way Home.
No Way Home was awesome. But that's it. Let it go. I am sick of multiverse.
Yeah, but again, when the Infinity Saga has ended, you need something new to come about, and they introduced the fucking multiverse in Avengers Endgame.
That's like,
so again, another discussion for another time. We got more movies come out. Let's just get back to this. You were talking about Kim Wexler and the fact that she is not like you said.
She's not a woman. She's not a woman,
Yeah, she's a fucking pushover. The whole bullshit that happens when she gets put down in doc review for fucking up with the whole Davis and Maine shit with Jimmy, because Howard had to get revenge on her for that shit. Douche nozzle. I'm not going to say he got what he fucking deserved, but he was a dick for that.
Right.
But Kim eventually doesn't become a pushover anymore. She just basically, she does stand on her own. But then, unfortunately...
Takes a little while.
It does take a while.
The big decision that she makes is when she decides in the 6th season to quit. Basically, and sell PVC piping in Florida or something.
Yeah, just selling plumbing supplies in Florida.
And then divorcing, I guess.
You see, when we get to that, we'll get to that. Let's just finish up this season 5 thing. So, the whole point of season 5, like we said, basically the end game of season 5, no pun intended, You just get to see more evolution. You just get to see the meth lab go. You get to see this, and you get to find out so much more about Lalo and how deep Nacho is with Gus right now.
They get
because,
him
like
out.
we said,
They get Lalo. Well, they get Lalo out of prison. But first, I wanted to make a reference to when they finally, when Jimmy and Mike finally return from the desert. They're dressed in volleyball clothes, just like Jules and Vincent in Pulp Fiction.
Exactly.
I was watching this. I was like, oh my God, they're doing Pulp Fiction right here.
That's a hell of a nod. I like that nod. I got it right away.
Are you guys going to a volleyball game or something? You look like a couple of dorks.
They're
very funny. They're your clothes, motherfucker.
But yeah,
USC banana slugs and such.
And then fucking COVID for the end of season 5, man, that fucked everything up because you talk about the cliffhanger for all cliffhangers, and then it's just like, be grateful that you didn't watch this show from beginning to end. Like, when I mean from the day it aired all the way till a couple weeks ago. Because I'm the asshole who had to wait 2
You had to wait 2 years
to see how this was going to turn out. So you understand why the hype for me was so big. It was just like this.
This was kind of the way the season ended was basically Tony Montana in his mansion, with a mountain of coke, and people are coming in with guns and they're going to exterminate him. And here they're trying to exterminate Lalo, and they can't even do that because Lalo again is just so good.
Because Lalo manages to escape. He had a trap. What is it? That fake bathroom, or he had the escape hatch underneath the shitter.
I guess that's what it was. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he had a fucking, because once he knew he was getting raided, he fucking goes into his escape hatch, fucking arms up, and takes out all the mercs.
Like a guy like Lalo, you should never underestimate. You should never think you killed him. Instead, what does he do? He shoots some guy in the face that looks relatively like like a guy with his build, so they can say, "Oh, well, it looks like we might have killed him," but you don't really know.
Well, that was at the beginning of season 6. Now, again, we're on season 5. We'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, that's how it ends. Is just he gets away. He gets away. He kills the mercs, and that's the end of it. That's it. That is the end of season 5. Big cliffhanger. Lalo gets away. What the fuck is going to happen next? We get to the next. We get to season 6, and the first thing we see is another backup plan that Lalo had. Oh, you paid for all my husband's dental work. You paid for this. You paid for that. And I'm like, and the first time you see this guy, it's like, oh my God, he's got a doppelganger.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a fucking insurance policy.
I bet you. Do you think he actually planned for that?
Yes, he did. Like, again,
he was like, well, you kind of, you know what? You can have the house. And because you kind of look like me, and I'm going to use your body at some point.
It just shows. I
just think it's really fucked up.
But then the person he's doing is like, he's like this poor fucking dirt farmer, or something like that. I don't even remember what the fuck this guy was.
They're laborers,
a laborer. The best way to put it.
Working class. They're working class.
And all of a sudden,
it's terrible.
This drug guy says, "Oh, by the way, do this. Here's all this dental work for free," and he has no idea what's going on. And it's just like, oh shit, you're my insurance policy. Nice callback to Once Upon a Time in Mexico, by the way. I love that callback.
I was thinking about that too.
Willem Dafoe, the whole Willem Dafoe thing, finding something that looks like you, changing your dental records, or changing their teeth to match yours, and then when they have to ID you by dental records, hey, you're dead. I like where they went with that, but then the whole
he's really smart. He's just really fucking smart.
And that's what you've been talking about. Is like. That's why Gus and Lalo, they're like the perfect nemesis because they are both smart. They are both intelligent. Just unfortunately, Gus is a cunt hair smarter. Hair smarter.
Just a little bit. I think that's because Gus, in the building of the meth lab, secreted a gun there.
Yep.
And he knew he would be led there eventually because he knows. Lalo figures it out. Lalo comes back into the States. He starts making videotapes showing what Gus is actually doing. He's building a secret meth lab. It's almost like, the whole thing with the secret meth lab. Once we actually see the finished product in Breaking Bad, it looks like a lair for supervillains because it even has a fake entrance, right? It has an entrance behind a giant industrial washer.
And speaking of the super lab, we forgot to mention Gale does pop up in season 4 or 5.
Gale shows up.
Gale does show up. You get to see
is
Yeah.
very close. I guess maybe he's not quite as qualified or doesn't have as many credentials as Walter, but he's very close to it.
Well,
And
he
he was obviously
is a
there.
Brilliant chemist.
Yeah, he's a little weird though. He's a little eccentric.
Well, okay, most geniuses are eccentric though.
And the thing about it is, they never see just how dangerous the line of work that they've chosen. Like Werner. Werner had no idea. I don't think Werner or his men had any clue what they were building. You know, all they knew was that it was just underground. But the thing is, if anybody came up to them and asked them questions, they would know enough information to be able to accidentally, even not unintentionally, sell Gus out. Like Lalo does. He finds one of the workers, right? Remember?
Yeah. Well, they get more into that. Well, that's when Lalo, he decides to he wants to get, irrefutable proof.